Okay, we are live, but yeah, let's do this. Good morning. Oh, look at that. I forgot to bring the other dude in. There we go. Yeah, buddy.
A little more. There you go.
How you doing?
A little more.
A little more.
There you go.
A little more. There.
All right. How am I doing? Well, I'm glad I got to watch the body cam footage of the end of Was Were.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, that was everything about that was an offensive comment because, at this point, like, if you shoot up a school,
We don't care about your feelings anymore.
yeah, I think, yeah. And I'm sure we'll come back to it on Firearms Friday.
You know, facts don't care about your feelings. Neither does 5.56.
Well, to be fair, the cop was holding a pistol.
The shooter was took the pistol. It was probably a 9.
Yeah.
I didn't get a good look at the weapon.
Yeah. And of course, there's all sorts of stuff to talk about, like the Uvalde police were on scene for like how long? Meanwhile, the 911 call came in at 10:13 and the shooter was dead at 10:27.
Yeah, so
there's a lot going on there.
I hadn't intended to actually talk about this this morning, but no, I do want to say something. And we might address this again on Firearms Friday, because you're going to hear these lefties, thoughts and prayers. No, it's not just thoughts and prayers.
It's 9mm.
Conservatives offer thoughts and prayers when something like this happens. Yes. And we also offer legitimate solutions, which are actively blocked by people like Chuck Schumer. The correct answer is to allow the teachers to arm themselves, right? Not arm the teachers, right? I'm not saying the government should issue firearms to the teachers. No.
Be cooler if you did.
That'd be cool, but let's face it. Most teachers are not shooters. But if you're a teacher who is a lawful firearm owner, you should absolutely, do, under the law in this country, have a right to keep and bear arms. Any law which says differently is an unconstitutional imposition on your rights, and it is a direct threat to your safety. Allow the teachers to arm themselves, because the response from the police in Nashville was absolutely inadequate while simultaneously being impressively fast for the police. Right? It is amazing that they got it done within 14 minutes of the incident beginning. That's 14 minutes. You can put a lot of bodies on the ground in 14 minutes. I'm here to tell you, you can stack a lot of bodies in 14 minutes. Speaking of stacking bodies in 14 minutes, not one fight scene in John Wick 4 was less than 20 minutes long. And that is why the movie was good. Because, okay, I've seen some complaints about plot holes, et cetera, online. We're going to get into some spoilers as we have this conversation. John Wick 4, I got what I paid for. I got exactly what I paid for.
I would argue that you got No, I would argue that John Wick 4 is you went in and ordered a bacon cheeseburger and they accidentally gave you a bacon double cheeseburger.
Yeah.
That is
So
Woke Wednesday. Okay, hold on. Let's back up.
Okay.
I mean,
get it.
Your segue was not bad, but I mean, there was some other things I wanted to get into before we got here, but here we are. Man, John Wick 4 was actually the ideal leftist movie, wasn't it? It really was.
Oh yeah, it was super diverse.
Oh yeah, and it had a badass female protagonist who didn't take no shit off nobody.
Right, and a badass black hobo.
Right?
Dude, I'm a big fan of the Brobo.
Right.
It was killing it with that. I'm not even entirely sure what his firearm was. I think it was a sort of, it was a lever action. It was a lever action compact rifle / shotgun, maybe. It's actually hard. It's a very customized weapon, and
I mean, it could have just been a 44 Winchester at a base, and then with his mods on top of it, right.
But I mean, he worked it like it owed him money,
right? But yeah, the ideal movie, diverse cast, okay.
Yep.
Strong women, okay. The main villain was even European.
You had your minorities. You had your LGBT representation with the Marquis,
who was also
Well, he was French. It's the same thing.
you stepped on my joke though, because I was going to say the main villain was white and European.
Yes,
the Marquis. Right?
Yeah, the Marquis de Sodomy. Got it.
Right. Which
who apparently owns the Louvre.
Yeah, that was the other thing. It was like when they're, in the end of the movie when they're circling the arch. I'm like, how much did the people of France just hate the John Wick crew while they were filming this scene? Can't go that way today. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna hang out in the Louvre. No, I don't think you will. No. We're filming a John Wick movie. It's okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, all jokes aside, though, okay, yes, this was an incredibly diverse movie. This movie did have a very strong female character who kicked a lot of... She killed, 6 people in just her few minutes of screen time. She was pretty awesome. But it didn't preach. And that is one of the most important things that somehow the left forgets. They're so busy trying to be woke. And when we say woke, we mean the Marxist-inspired grievance culture that tends to make people say extremely stupid things like, I don't know, trans women are women, for example. But the part of the problem is when woke infects your culture, your TV shows and movies and whatnot, it has to preach to you. It has to take time out of whatever story it's trying to tell you to explain to you how woke it is. And not only is that, boring, okay? It's annoying. It goes the other direction. It's not like just a neutral ad to your entertainment. It doesn't just dilute your entertainment. It actually tracks it in the opposite direction. You could have the message that you want to have. You could, for example, have, I don't know, a badass action movie with an extremely diverse international cast.
Yeah.
Okay. You could do that. Just don't preach to me. John Wick 4 proves that if you're good at your job, if you can do the stunts, if you can do the karate, if you can, if you're willing to get up at 6 a.m. and work until 10 p.m. to make sure that your fight scene is perfect, you have a place in this universe. It's about merit.
Yeah. Have you seen John Wick's active shooter drills?
You mean Keanu Reeves? And yes,
Yeah.
where like he goes through with like the pistol and the shotgun
Yes.
and oh yeah, I've seen
That's, I mean, that's, we got Matt Parks in the chat there, my favorite Ninja Turtle. I mean, that's shit that we used to do. That's shit that we used to do with Delta, and it was freaking awesome. Deco doing, like, hell, even the shoot house. Like, there's a shoot house scene in there. So a shoot house is a drilling platform that we use in the military to train for close urban combat, close quarters combat, CQB. And it's a house. Got to train, baby. You've got a house, and there's no roof on the house, so that you can have catwalks around the top of the house for observers. And so they set up one of those for this fantastic run and gun scene in John Wick, where they're looking overhead. Now, a real shoot house, what you do, you go in and you've got live ammo, and you're shooting at targets, because part of the point is, in a real battle, in a real combat situation, as much as, you can give the if you go watch the body cam footage of the guys clearing the school to find the trainee assassin, you'll see that, oh, hey, as these guys are moving, there's a lot of times that they flag their buddies with their muzzles and stuff. And as much as you don't want to do that, in a real fast-moving combat situation, that is a part of the reality. And that's when trigger discipline is the last line of safety going in there. The scene watching John Wick fight through basically a very well-dressed shoot house, man, that did things to my heart. I was absolutely there for it. I loved every minute of it.
Didn't hurt that he was armed with a shotgun loaded with dragon's breath rounds. Man, as soon as I saw that box pop up on the screen, I was like, wow, that is Chekhov's gun. Like, no, excuse me, that's Chekhov's dragon's breath right there. That's going to get used in the third act.
Yeah, as soon as we saw it, as soon as we saw one get fired, like, Fee didn't recognize what the box was, but as soon as we saw him fire one, Fee goes, "What?" I said, "Oh yeah, that's a real thing." Now, in fairness, the dragon's breath shots that they showed in the film were a little exaggerated, but no, that's very much a real thing.
Okay, so here's the thing. Not only was it not preachy, okay, it actually had some really important, it had some important themes in it that are timeless. One of the other things that you see...
I'm sorry to step on you. I want to catch you before we get away from the preachy thing, just real quick. Because Shazam 2 also came out this weekend. And with Shazam 2, the trailer was preachy. Right, the trailer went out of its way to be preachy. The media leading up to the film went out of its way to say, "Oh yeah, extra diverse cast, and hey, we've got a gay, we've got something for the gay." So, how about you make a movie, right?
Yeah, the first Shazam movie wasn't bad. Why don't you just do that again?
The first Shazam movie was a lot of fun, and this is, John Wick, unlike Shazam, is not a kids movie. Shazam, ostensibly, is supposed to be for kids, which is why they had to cram the LGBT in there. And it got absolutely mowed down by John Wick at the box office this weekend, which is awesome. And, okay, we already said spoilers, and obviously the Marquis has to die by the end of the film, obviously.
Right.
The killing of the Marquis, that I felt like that was a fantastic symbol, a fantastic metaphor for John Wick absolutely murdering wokeness.
Yeah, you arrogant ass.
You arrogant ass. That's absolutely correct. The woke mob, like the Marquis, is predictably evil
and arrogant. They're convinced that they're convinced that they know what they're doing to everybody else's expense. But look, here's the thing. It's not just that it wasn't preachy. It's not just that it was high value, high octane entertainment. There were universal themes and they did the whole show don't tell thing. Like,
yeah, they did.
Look, I watched the thing, okay, that in this movie, John Wick said less than 400 words of dialogue, but killed more than 100 people. So it's nice to know that they had their priorities in order as far as filmmaking is concerned. But look, like we talked about, there was a strong female assassin character who's an absolute badass, okay? Well, she's motivated by love for her father. It's communicated very clearly. Wait a minute. A, familial ties. B, dads can be good guys. What? There was no need to tell us that she's this strong, powerful woman. It was shown, and it was shown in a way that made sense. Even when she was fighting the other guys, she wasn't standing there going, like, fisticuffs with them.
No, she was a bowyer.
Yeah, she was using weapons and judo and stuff like that. She was actually using somewhat, because let's be honest, but somewhat realistic fighting techniques against these people. And it helps a lot that the actress herself is actually trained in martial arts. So you put all that together and, like, sure, sometimes it's fun to watch Buffy punch out vampires. But the only reason Buffy could punch out vampires is she was basically MacGuffined. Okay?
Right. Buffy's not human.
She's not at all human. But everybody...
Buffy's a great, strong female character. No, Buffy's superhuman.
Yeah.
That is not the same thing.
Yeah, it's fun fantasy.
Exactly.
But it is fantasy. Like, whoa. Anyhow. But then there are other themes in the movie. There's this idea of loyalty. There's this idea of consequence. There is this idea of paying your debts. There is this idea of what happens when you won't follow the rules. There's all these themes of maybe sometimes rules are made to be broken, because the crux of the plot of this movie is that the first 3 John Wick movies have culminated to the point to where basically all the other assassins in the world, except for a handful, are terrified of John Wick and they're sick of his shit. So they all band together and they choose to elect a tyrant in order to go scorched earth to get rid of John Wick. And wouldn't you know it, a tyrant going scorched earth, well, it backfires. It doesn't work out. It doesn't work out at all.
Yeah,
when you're
the tyrant that's going scorched earth, the important thing to remember is the earth part. Scorched earth sounds great until you ask yourself, wait a minute, where am I?
Yeah.
Oh, you're in the middle of your own shitstorm, sunshine. Well played.
Yeah, and look, and there's the whole... if you want to read this as some anti-left, anti-woke narrative, it's really interesting that the third movie ends with Winston, and if you haven't seen these movies, you don't know who that is. Fair enough. But the third movie ends with Winston actually shooting John Wick, even though he doesn't want to, because it's what's expected of him.
Right.
The only way Winston can keep his position in the hierarchy, they refer to it as the table. And the only way Winston can keep his position in the Assassin's Guild known as the Table is to shoot John Wick, because John Wick has caused so much trouble and broke so many rules. So Winston does it, and then the fourth movie opens up with the Marquis humiliating Winston in the worst way he possibly could, even though Winston did everything that was expected of him to follow the rules. And it didn't work out. No. Once you go woke, once you court the favor of the radical leftists, you can never, ever, ever back off of it. I follow J.K. Rowling on Twitter because she's at the point now where she just says things like, yeah, I'm a piece of shit. I'm going to go home and cry in my millions.
Right. Yeah,
And she's as far left as it gets. The one thing that the one thing that she doesn't agree on is the trans women are women thing. She thinks women are women. Like, this is the same woman that made sure to let you know, no, Albus Dumbledore was gay. The reason why he never he didn't want to duel Grindelwald is because he was in love with Grindelwald. Just so that we're clear. And look, I made sure that there were black wizards, and I made sure that there were diverse wizards, and there's wizard schools all over the world, and it, like, literally checked every box. But then when it came time for a dude with a penis to start using her bathroom, she went, maybe not. And then everybody turned on her. She couldn't go far left enough. And it's the same thing here. As soon as you start walking that road, as soon as you give in to the madness, well, you have no choice but to... Here's the problem. You could probably grab a tiger by the tail. It's letting go that's going to be the bitch.
Well, and dramatic departure from the topic, getting into the J.K. Rowling thing, but Rowling is like a microcosmical example of what happens, right? Obergefell passes, and suddenly everything is about the trans issue, right? That's the most important thing to remember about the wokies. Is it's not just that you can never go far enough left. It's that you can never give them enough. If you give them everything they're asking for, then they ask for more, right? If you give a mouse a cookie.
I mean, yeah. Look.
If you give a mouse a cookie, he will mutilate your children, and that still won't be sufficient. He's going to want a glass of milk to dip those dicks in.
Yeah, why does a man like Ringo do the things that he does? Well, a man like Ringo's got a great big hole right through the center of him, and he can never kill enough or steal enough to ever quite fill it up.
Right.
I mean, and that's, yes, we're quoting a movie to quote a movie to quote a movie to make the point. Okay, but it's true.
Yeah, we can play 7 Degrees of Bullshit.
Yeah, but then the stream would be like 8 hours long. Oh. So no, but you cannot give an inch to these people, because as soon as you do, you're locked in. And you just ask Lindsay Ellis. Right? Like, that's why we covered Lindsay. I know you didn't give 2 shits about her, but I watched every single movie essay she put out. Didn't agree with her politics at all, but she would put together these fascinating, well-researched, well-edited essays about the history of filmmaking in certain contexts. And then she said one thing that wasn't acceptable to her base, and they canceled her. Like, just... It is what it is. And finally, there's the theme of ultimate good and ultimate evil. There are some things that are right and wrong and satisfying. We're talking about a movie where the first few lines of the movie quote Dante's fucking Inferno.
Yep.
Okay? And that ends, spoilers, if you haven't seen it, sorry. That ends...
2, 1. You've been warned.
You have been warned. That ends with John Wick dying on the steps of a church as the sun rises. And it's very important that he, right there in the middle, okay? Because you got your purgatory thing, yep. Right? He's not in heaven. He's not in hell. Like, let's face it, John Wick did some bad shit. But John Wick did bad shit to bad guys, so, I don't know, that's...
And he did bad shit to bad guys for good reasons. Now, it's also, remember, before John Wick, before the first John Wick movie, canonically in the universe, John Wick was the baddest bad dude and retired from the life. And then got sucked back into it by... now, in fairness... He sucked himself back into it. He could have been a bitch and just let him kill his dog and said nothing about it, called the police and filed a report. But he didn't. He went back into the world that he had already escaped from. because that world touched his life after he left it. And that's an important piece of the whole narrative of the film, is John Wick was part of that world and then left that world and became not part of the world of organized crime and contract assassins and hired killers and all that. He became Joe Everyman, right? And then as Joe Everyman, retired, happy civilian with a loving wife and a cute pup. No, I know there's some ordinal stuff there, but he tried to go and be a normal man. And the problem is this world of monsters that exists as kind of an oil slick layer under the good world. You can't help but slip on it from time to time, right? It still reaches out and touches you, even if you're not involved in it. You know, whether or not he was involved in it previously is irrelevant to that point. His prior involvement and the fact of him having been the Baba Yaga, the boogeyman, the ghost, right? The fact of him having been that just means that he had the power, the skill, the capability to do something about having been touched by the evil world. And that speaks to an important narrative that's part of what Jordan Peterson talks about often. Being harmless does not make you good, right? Good men are not harmless. Good men are dangerous. Good men are very dangerous, but they have a controlled, a bridled power, right? You cannot be a good man who is incapable of doing violence. If you are not capable of doing mind-shatteringly extreme violence, right, Matt, right? Yeah. We burned a couple of cities down, right? If you're not capable of doing that, you're not a good man. You're harmless. You're chattel. You're chaff. You're sheep.
Yeah, you're a prey animal.
Being capable of that great violence does not guarantee that you will need to employ that great violence, but the inability to cause justice to be served is a dearth in your character. The only reason John Wick is able to walk a redemption arc and become a good man is because he has the power, which he has earned through trial and pain, to do the great violence necessary to serve justice.
Right, and honestly, you can watch these movies as get together with the boys and drink some beer and eat some popcorn entertainment. However, you can also watch them on a deeper philosophical level. Seriously, you really can, okay? Because there is a through line that connects all of the movies together about where the line is between when you should use violence and when you should not. And the fact that the price of violence is often more violence. That violence tends to beget violence, as it were. And when your back is against the wall, loyalty and your friends and even the people that you choose to call family are the most important things that you can have around you. And that if you personalize everything, Willem Dafoe's in the first movie, and here's this fantastic line where he tells John, who's in grief at this point in time, that, they're leaving a funeral, and he says, John, life is a handful of days like this scattered among the rest. And he's trying to tell him, really keep your head up. Don't let I know this sucks, but buddy, I promise you'll get through this. And he gets an opportunity to grieve. And of course, that gets taken away from him and kicks off the events of these 4 movies. But there's an actual through line here about the price of violence and what it means to be loyal. Like, it is all there. It's done with subtext. I mean, like, gosh, Hollywood, you know, it's almost like if you make good movies, you'll make good money. Or you can keep trying to shove all this ridiculous bullshit down our throats where for some reason the Shazam movie needs the gay and the diverse and the because that's the line. As soon as you call it out, you know you failed. And Razor Fist has been saying for a while, it's not get woke, go broke. It's go broke,
get woke,
and then get woke. Like, that's your lifeline. That's your parachute. Look at me. I'm woke. I'm almost out of money, so I'm woke. You know, it's like, well, I have cancer in my hand and it's going to kill me. Well, we've got one option left. We can cut your hand off. That's where you're at when you get woke. So go see John Wick 4. And I was going to mention this at the beginning, but you transitioned us because it's Woke Wednesday and I feel like it belongs here.
I transitioned us. From that particular topic.
Yeah, that's right.
I chose to identify as a new topic.
Hey, going forward, anytime we talk about the Nashville shooter, I'm going to say, oh, you mean were?
Yeah.
Like, those are the pronouns I'm going to use there. No, Justin Roiland had all the charges dropped.
Yes.
Had all the charges dropped in a pretty liberal area of the country, okay? And he said from the beginning that this is a bitter X, these are sour grapes, these are lies, these are exaggerations. You know, when the facts come out, I will be clear. And then people started to conflate these bizarre messages that he sent to fans. And some of these messages are bizarre. Like, he did tell one fan, you'll make a great cam girl when you turn 18. Like, said some really weird shit to people. But then again, if you've seen Rick and Morty, that's actually not that weird. Anyhow, so Justin Roiland was fired from Rick and Morty, fired from Solar Opposites. And, nope, he was right. Charges got dropped.
All of them.
All of them.
Yep.
But hey, the wokest thing you could do is just believe all women. Why would a woman lie about sexual assault?
Right. I mean, I can't think of any examples. Mattress Girl, Blasey Ford. I could go on. But, yeah, the only women that ever lied about sexual assault were Clinton accusers. So,
wow, that is okay. No, you win. You win. Kill the stream right here.
Y'all be safe out there. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow.